am here with Alder. You Irby folks don't confuse this with elder. This is alder with an A. This is speckled alder, or Alnus incana. Fairly easy to identify. Of course, you've got the habitat in wet spots like I am here. In the summertime, you can look at the leaves. But in the winter, it's actually very easy to identify. And one of the things you look at is you look for these catkins that are hanging here. And along with those, on the same plant, you will also find these little dried up cones. Alder is an excellent remedy for skin eruptions, things erupting, conditions erupting onto the skin, particularly if there is liver or gallbladder congestion. So it is an alterative and a cholagogue, cyclic, acne, hormone-related skin eruptions, things like that. But mostly, I wanted to talk to you about alder to use it as an opportunity to talk about sex. Don't worry, plant sex. And in particular, this is a wonderful example to look at something related to the way plants engage in sexual reproduction. And that is looking at monoecious configuration of flowers on a plant. Now, flowers are typically going to be configured in one of three forms. Within each, there's lots of variation. But one of those are what are called bisexual flowers, sometimes referred to as perfect flowers. But that's when the flower produces both pollen, which in turn produces sperm, as well as produces eggs or ova. Sperm meets egg, same as with us, and voila. Those are bisexual flowers. Those are mostly flowers that are very showy or pretty, that have pigmented petals or aromatics or produce nectar because they tend to be animal pollinated. And then you have many plants that have unisexual flowers. Each flower only produces either pollen, in which case they're called staminate flowers, or eggs, ova, in which case they're referred to as pistillate flowers. And within that group, the plants that produce unisexual flowers, you have two subgroups, if you will. One of those are plants that produce unisexual flowers on separate individual plants. So the staminate flowers producing pollen and turn sperm, and the pistillate flowers producing ova or eggs are on separate individuals. Think ginkgo tree as an example that you might be familiar with already. The other configuration that's also fairly common, and these all tend to be more often wind-pollinated, are monoecious. And monoecious plants, or plants with monoecious flowers, are like this alder, where actually, again, unisexual flowers, the staminate inflorescences and the pistillate inflorescences are separate from each other, but they both exist and are formed on the same plant. And this is exactly what we're seeing here. We're seeing these catkins, which actually commonly in the birch family, like this plant belongs to, this next spring's catkins or staminate flowers that are going to produce pollen are actually already produced the season before. And that's very common, not universal, but very common in the birch family. So you're actually seeing next spring's, this coming spring's, little catkins that will produce pollen and release that into the air. And then these little cones that you see, well, those are this past year's pistillate cones, or in some cases, many plants, they even take 2 years to mature. And being the fruit, the capsule, if you will, but fruit technically in botany would be the correct term, this little cone basically protected the seeds after the pistillate inflorescences were pollinated or fertilized. So you can see all of those pretty frequently all over the shrub. And then again, as you look around, you also see those catkins. And a pretty easy way to help you, at least, to identify the alder.